Clive Davis is here. For the past 30 years, his contribution to the music industry has been celebrated. At the age of 28, he entered the record business at Columbia and was credited with signing such legends as Bruce Springsteen, Janis Joplin, and Billy Joel. In 1975, he founded Arista, and for the past 25 years has been guiding the careers of such artists as Whitney Houston, Patti Smith, and Barry Manilow. In addition to discovering new acts, he also broke new ground for established artists like Carlos Santana, Aretha Franklin, and Carly Simon. This past June, he left Arista at the height of his success and announced the launch of his new label, J Records. I'm pleased to have Clive Davis at this table. Great to see you. Thank you for coming in. We got to know each other when I did the 60 Minutes piece with Carlos Santana.
Yes.
How big was that album, or is that album?
The album is about 24 million copies worldwide, so translated in dollar terms at the wholesale level worldwide, it's probably brought in about $260 million to the record company, and it will probably be, because it's selling still at the rate of about 125,000 worldwide copies a week, it will be in the top 5 of all time.
Of all time?
Of all time.
And who else is on that list?
Well, Michael Jackson's on that list. Bodyguard is on that list with Whitney Houston,
right.
I'm proud to say.
Yeah.
Elton John, Pink Floyd's. It's right up in that Fleetwood Mac territory.
What's the biggest selling group of all time? Is it the Beatles, or is it Rolling Stone, or is it Led Zeppelin, or is it the Eagles, or is it somebody I don't know?
I would say it's between the Eagles, really, and Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
As far as big best-selling albums.
Yeah, the number of albums and sheer number of albums out there.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. You signed Springsteen?
Yes.
You signed Billy Joel?
Yes.
Did you know Springsteen would have the impact he had? I mean,
Absolutely
did you know
not.
that this was somebody, of all the shows I have done, my interview with him gets as much feedback as anything.
Yes.
He has a connection to an audience out there that like nobody I know.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, when I signed, John Hammond brought me Springsteen.
The great John Hammond.
And the great John Hammond. And I listened to his music. In those days, if you were a folk singer, you were really always compared to Bob Dylan. But here was someone who had come along with a distinctive different sound, with style, with a different language, with different imagery. The Greetings from Asbury Park album, the songs, whether it be Blinded by the Light or others that stand for that classic album. No, there was no way of knowing that he would become, really, to me, the best live rock and roll performer of all time.
The best solo artist.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, obviously the E Street Band was behind him, but
yes, well, I'm saying, but as far as individual live performer with a connection to an audience, he was not that way when I signed him. He was stationary. He played Max's Kansas City. He played other small clubs. And I candidly, one day we were doing a show. I had taken over the Ahmanson Theater in Los Angeles to say that rock is not dying. And I was mixing and matching Miles Davis and the Mahavishnu Orchestra and Bruce Springsteen and Johnny Mathis to show the vitality of contemporary music, because it's always under attack, that it's ephemeral and it will die out. And I remember being on this huge stage with him, and I said, you know, you really have to work the stage. You know, you have that ability.
Get out
but
there.
He didn't at the time have that. But 2 years later, he invited me to the Bottom Line. I had just started Arista, and I brought Lou Reed with me. I was totally unprepared for the whirling dervish that he was, jumping on tables, just being so charismatic, so electrifying.
And then stopping and having these soulful conversations with the audience.
Yeah, but meaningful and from the heart conversations.
Right.
No, when you sign an artist, when I signed Whitney Houston, I felt that she was, for the next generation, a combination of Lena Horne and Aretha Franklin. But you never know. I mean, you know, how much that album was going to sell. When I just re-signed Carlos Santana, you know, you do it from instinct. You see, obviously, in his case, the incredible talent. But to tap into 24 million copies, or you don't know that, no.
To your credit, because I know something about this, because of Carlos, nobody wanted him.
he couldn't get a record deal. And you immediately saw something that he could do and teamed him up with Dave Matthews and others and put that album together. But if ever there was a clear case where someone saw a new stage for an artist, it was you in that case.
Yes, but not knowing how
it wasn't automatic.
Excel.
Nobody else wanted it.
No. These things are never automatic.
No, if it were, everybody could do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
what is it you hear, though? I mean, what is it you think you have? You have an instinct what the public wants. You have an instinct for what's new. You have an instinct for sound. What?
You know, it really depends on the category of music. As far as a songwriter is concerned, if you're gauging what a hit song is, it's knowing what a hit song is. It's being able to factor in instinctively the lyric, because the lyric is important in most cases, except maybe a dance record, with the melody, and see how accessible. You know when you see a Broadway show, whether there's a song you hum when you come out of it, as compared to an integrated score. If it's a unique artist, if it's Patti Smith, if it's Bruce Springsteen, you just feel that the artist is plunging into your soul and affecting your mind. And so therefore, you're looking for uniqueness, you're looking for star charisma, you're looking for a variety of things that, to me, not being trained in it, became natural. And now, you know, I feel it. It sounds like a cliche, but I feel it in my spine when I'm in the presence of somebody who's special.
And I tell you what else it is the value of experience, because things build on top of each other. I mean, you've been there before.
Well, it's true, but that doesn't
base.
account for the first 10, you know. So
No,
that,
of course not.
So that I think that a lot of it is really sensing someone special. What I look for, I try to name J Records star records, because what I've always said is you look for a star, you look for a headliner, you look for someone who has a long-term career and who can mesmerize audiences, you know, and take them out of their chair. Whatever it be, vocal prowess, lyrical prowess, instrumental prowess, you're looking for those people that excel uniquely.
You left Columbia, not pleasant circumstances. Did you have any doubt that you could go on and start a new company and make it?
I had no doubt that I would stay in music. I approach life not expecting anything, in the sense that very much within my arsenal of approach to life is the idea of knowing that you got to work hard for anything. So that for me, my parents died when I was in my teens. I had no money, went through school on scholarship. So just getting into Harvard Law School by scholarship, just getting into the record business by luck and good fortune. It's all taken hard work, so that when I started a company from scratch, I didn't assume that I could do it. I knew that I loved music. I knew when I was head of Columbia that I went to clubs and I went to small little rehearsal halls or basements, and I signed artists from my own ears. I was not outspending anybody else. And of course, the circumstances turned out terrific. You know, life is who moves the cheese and how you take that and how you then can be resilient. And so it was indeed Columbia Records who helped finance Arista Records, because a year or two later they gave me a check for $1 million for the mail order rights to my new company and gave me the Martel Foundation Award for my humanitarianism. So that it's a matter, life does not stay the same ever, and it's a question of how you respond to challenges. And I find that I don't expect anything. If something adverse takes place, you rise above it and you do what you do best.
Then how did you face the leaving of Arista, which was your baby? I mean, Columbia was there before you were there, but Arista was your baby.
Absolutely. Still is my baby. You don't not have a baby when you have
leave.
Built this legacy, and the 25-year at Arista was a wonderful experience, and I certainly wish it well. For me, I would not have planned any kind of new venture. But again, when your contract comes to an end, and I must say this about Bertelsmann and BMG, they always believed and wanted to be in business with me. So that although they had certain policies or different decisions that I might have disagreed with, they were not that fundamental that I would never be in business with them. And when they said to me from day one that they would finance the largest record company ever launched in the history of the business, 4 times larger than any company that's ever begun, that they would give me essentially my same senior management team and A&R staff to start the company with, that they would give me platinum artists and gold artists and my first 3, 4, or 5 top draft choices so that I'd have momentum. To me, that was not only affirming as far as what I have done and what I can do, but presented an opportunity that I couldn't get at Arista, and that was to own 50% of the company.
Fair enough. Everybody loves a lot of equity. But, I mean, you had that year, though, which you couldn't have had a better year last year. I mean, not only did Carlos Santana create one of the 5 biggest albums, as you just said, of all time, but you were honored and entered into the Hall of Fame, and I happened to be there that night at the pre-Grammy dinner where all these people were standing up singing Stevie Wonder and Whitney Houston and Carlos Santana and all these people. Yet at the same time, at one point, didn't they come to you and say, we want another person to run Arista Records?
They said to me that they had a different succession plan as far as my being over 60, they're looking to the future, my feeling at the top of my powers. But they didn't just say that. That would be unfair to them. They said, but we want to be in business with you as your partner. And if you want to start the largest new company in the history of the business, we'll put in excess of $150 million in cash.
Are they doing that?
Yes.
$150 million?
That's right.
So they put in a lot of cash, and you get half the company? Is that the deal we're looking at?
Well, plus I got my senior management team, plus I got some wonderful young platinum and gold artists and my top draft picks. And so we start, look, every 3 years, Charlie, I had to reinvent Arista. 11 years ago, we were never in country music. And then Alan Jackson came and Brooks and Dunn came. We were not into street R&B, so we formed LaFace, and I did that with LA and Babyface. We went into Bad Boy Records because we didn't have the street and the rap. To the extent that I had to reinvent the company and the new artists there, whether it be Young Dido, whether it be LFO or Next or Deborah Cox or Monica, or whether it be Santana and That Great Story, or working with my partner Whitney Houston, to keep reinventing Whitney and for her career to soar. My point is, from a businessman's point of view, I always had an equity in Arista.
Right.
If it became worth $2.5 to $3 billion and it became complicated to give me a continuing equity, the same company offered me 50% of an instant major. We just signed Luther Vandross. I just did a label deal with Wyclef.
You mean for Jay?
Yeah.
So you got Luther. Who else do you have? You got Luther Vandross. You've got Wyclef.
Wyclef's label, yes.
His label. Who else?
Well, we have a joint venture with Arista for Monica, the triple platinum young Monica. We have platinum artists Deborah Cox and Next and LFO. We've got the young 15-year-old guitar sensation Shannon Kerfman, and the new talents, which one day I'll take you up on your invitation to bring my new discoveries to you. Jimmy Cozier, Alicia Keys, the stars of tomorrow that I was working with for a year and a half.
Here is also what they think in the music business, that when Mariah Carey's deal ends, you're gonna talk her into coming over to Jay. And all these stars like Whitney and Mariah and people like that, who you've had a relationship with in some cases. Whitney, it's like, I don't know what it's like, father, son, brother, sister, whatever it is. What is it? Whitney.
We are creatively bonded.
You said partner.
Yeah, so we've been partners.
But I mean, to listen to her talk about you, so she's going to come to Jay, right?
Listen, I have never been in the banking business, so that for me, I've discovered artists from scratch. I've never had to tap into that.
Yeah.
For me, I will work with artists if it's mutually beneficial, and so that First of all, I'm going to continue producing Whitney for Arista. I'm
you
going
are?
to continue producing Carlos Santana.
You are?
Of course, our relationships are.
So you will
are
produce
not
the albums that they record for
of
other...
Of course, our relationships go on. It's the best. This is a win-win situation.
Okay.
It's the best situation for me, and I relish it, frankly. I'm
How big a
exhilarated
talent
by
Is
it.
Whitney Houston?
Whitney Houston is an incredible talent. Putting Aretha Franklin to one side, because she is the national treasure of life, Whitney Houston is the best singer in the world today. If you ask any musician, if you ask Babyface, if you ask David Foster, if you ask Quincy Jones,
Right.
the absolute best singer in the world today is Whitney Houston.
What is
without
it
question.
she has?
She has a combination of soul and fire and lyric depth and stunning beauty, an ability to caress a ballad and soar with it, an ability to take the stage and have people dancing all over the world. It's very unique, and although she doesn't get, only recently, I mean, someone like a Robert Hilburn in Los Angeles reviewed her last concert, and he was so amazed by her talent that he said, you know, this, I think I'm reviewing the artist formerly known as Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston is electrifying.
I'm going to come back to Whitney Houston. Who's on the male side? Who's the male Whitney Houston who you could say the same things that you just said?
Well, I think I just signed the best R&B male singer in the world is Luther Vandross. And I think that the opportunity of working with Luther, whereby he'll take half the album the way I did with Carlos, and I'll get the other half of the album to come up with the best material, the best producer associations, because, you know, I was going to say pound for pound, but his weight does fluctuate, although he's
Yes,
certainly
that's true,
great
that's
now.
right.
He's looking great now.
Yeah.
But I think the best male singer really in the world is Luther
Luther
Vandross.
Vandross, really?
Yes, I do.
Whitney Houston. We all read these stories. Did she require an intervention because her friends were so concerned about her?
I know of no such intervention that has
You don't know
ever
anything
taken
about it?
place. No, sir.
If you love someone like you've got to like this woman, you've got to worry when you see all these stories. And you've got to say, if there's smoke, there's fire. That this is a talent like I've never seen before. Is it true? Should I be doing something?
Whitney Houston, from observing the professional responsibilities that I have had with her, and I'm only the guardian of her professional responsibilities, has given back from the day I discovered her when she was 19 years old. If I have a pre-Grammy party, she comes every year and knocks everybody out. If there's a 25th anniversary party for Arista, only the second time any company was ever given that in history. Every major artist was there, and yes, they said her heel got caught, so there was that big hoopla. Was she on top of her game? There was nobody left in their seats. They were standing and cheering. She followed Santana and Annie Lennox, the wonderful Annie Lennox, and Sarah McLachlan, and Patti Smith, and Puffy, and when she was on, she soared. So she's only given back to me. And our latest album...
All of that is so obvious to anybody. My question is, are you concerned about Whitney Houston?
I'm concerned about all of the press about Whitney Houston. I know nothing about her personal life. I know that she feels that she's happily married. I know nothing about her personal life.
You don't know whether she uses drugs or not?
I do not know.
But you've got to worry and be concerned if...
I'm concerned about the press and the stories, especially when you see a concert and you see someone's heel get caught. They say that she was stumbling around the stage, and here there were 6,000 people in the audience who saw her fly off the stage and take the audience out of its seat. So this is not a matter of whitewash or anything of that nature. I don't ever get into the personal lives of the artist. I'm their guardian of their professional responsibility. On a personal level, one-to-one with me, she's got a heart as big as they come. She has been always there for me, and her performances in a professional capacity have been historic. So I'm giving you back what I know.
Okay, but if you knew that they were true, would you feel an obligation to do something?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Okay. Where is music going now? Hip-hop? Who can we look at and say, maybe it's some of the people you just said, and it's in your nature to say, the people that I've recognized, I've signed, and that's where I think the future is, because that's what you do. But give us a sense of where music is heading in your judgment.
Well, you can't predict revolutions. The most current revolution is the hip-hop revolution. You know, I lived and my career got jump-started by the rock revolution. Right. And so it led to all the early signings, and that's why I got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. But to the extent that there is now a merging of whether it be rap and heavy metal, whether it be a merger of the spoken word and the rhyming in conjunction with the rock, so that young artists, yes, you find Eminem and Limp Bizkit, and you see the rock artists and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they're performing together and they're going out together. And there's no question that there has been a ferment of excitement caused by the hip-hop revolution, a lot of which has clearly dismayed the elders in society, and that's happened, you know, when Bob Dylan came along. So that the artist determined the revolution. My job is to spot it, and I know the difference between an executive and an artist. It's the artists that create that, so that where the next revolution is will be up to the creative artist. My job is to spot it and to make that person feel very, very comfortable and supported along the way.
Much success with Jay.
Thank you so much.
Clearly your track record suggests that you will do well.
Thank you very much.
Clive Davis, thank you for joining us. See you next time.